player. Being able to talk to people while playing the game and interact with chat. Every now and then I'll catch myself being silent for like 5 minutes and just apologize. Just be like, guys, sorry, I'm super try hard right now. I'm just trying not to lose this game. But I found a lot of happiness, or not happiness, but just like I find it a lot easier to stream for long hours doing ladder if it's like a mixture of unranked and ranked. If I could just do like 3 or 4 unranked games and throw a ranked game in the middle eventually, it feels a lot better. It feels like you're getting warmed up. It feels like you're still playing games of StarCraft. You're still improving, but it's like very little is at stake. And you can still interact with chat and that sort of thing. But anyway, we're in a new series.
Finally. People are holding up the games intentionally. Talk about their stupid
just so
problems.
We can chat and catch up, be friendly.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna find another PVT in front of us. Isn't that great? Wonder if this guy's gonna do any better. In the top left, it is the Red Terran, PureLegacy.
Certainly is. And in the bottom right, we've seen him monster mode through a Zerg. We've seen him monster mode through a Terran. Will he do it another time? Will he Terran through these Terrans? This is DisK, Psystorm.
Yeah, having some unique builds versus Zerg. He even like messaged me after that PVZ and was like, "Do you like these builds?" I was like, "They seem pretty good," but actually playing rather standard PVT.
Yeah, like double forge, just lots of gateways. I still think it's pretty incredible, like pretty incredibly powerful to go for like the 3-gas mass gateway swarm style Protoss. I still think that's really powerful. It surprises me that not more Protosses do it against Terran.
Yeah, I think... Oh, actually, I couldn't explain to you why they don't do it. I was like, thought maybe I had something in my mind, but I realized I was wrong, so I'm just going to say I don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah, but we do have some people going back to like the more reserved 2-base, into like the Colossus. I think that might play into what... Like Joe Schmo on ladder can just do what they feel is comfortable, and they pick this race that they feel comfortable playing, and maybe Protoss appealed to them because they wanted to play slower, they wanted to play more conservative, and the mass gateway style double forge thing doesn't really play to that. I mean, that could be a reason, but I don't know. PureLegacy showed us a lot of gateway units in the first game, and then he showed us an aggressive build in the second, which I was gonna say is like a little more unorthodox, but it definitely still is a thing, and it's a very obnoxious thing too, because you know, poor Cuddle Bear feels just, like, I almost say that he feels stupid as someone who's, like, been in that position. I might be, you know, forcing words into his mouth here, but, like, when you lose to that and it's just 3 gateways and a War Prism, you're like, like,
yeah, I mean,
like, you're expanding behind this. Like, get out.
You can go even further back than that. When 1 gateway is where the gateway units denies your natural and kills 3 SCVs for that long, you're like, oh my god, that's just... Like, how much production does he have? You check the replay and you're like, he has 1 gateway. There's not even a 2nd gateway out in the middle of the map. He's just doing this 1 gateway.
It doesn't feel nice. But that's kind of the power of it, is that it doesn't seem like it'd be a lot, and then you mishandle it, you don't react appropriately to it, and you're like, suddenly snowballed on, and it sucks, so... the question kind of is like PureLegacy going to find himself weak to those same things? Feel like DisK and Cuddle Bear are the type of guys who'd be good friends and playing a lot of tournaments together. I'm not sure about PureLegacy. He's most well known still for his 2v2s, and that's not necessarily a great thing before anyone brings up the drama. But it seems like he didn't really push the 1v1 angle, but he is getting rather far in these qualifiers. He is actually a pretty damn decent Terran player, so...
Yeah,
and he does have different builds on other Terrans as well, as we can see here.
For sure. Yeah, the Hellion stuff at the early stage of the game is pretty powerful, especially considering he's going to be in conjunction with a medevac here. So it looks like he's going to try and hit in one place while going for the medevac in another. A little bit of choke point here that the Terran's actually utilizing very nicely against the Protoss.
If you see Hellions, you got to figure there's a medevac for either more Hellions and dropping in your main base, or even just like a Widowmine drop or Marines or anything, really. There's going to be more than one location to be harassed at. But it is nice that DisK got the wall up. Maybe he's faced PureLegacy before and knows this is a great opener for him, but that does take away at least a little bit of pressure from you, so you can focus a little bit more on the main base. But as I say that, he cancels that gateway, and that seems a little dangerous to do, but he knows he's got the anti-medevac stalkers here.
Yeah, he's reading this very, very well. We have a more regular follow-up here for the Terran. If PureLegacy doesn't get anything done with these Hellions, he can, of course, keep them alive, but if he dives and loses them all, and that's going to be pretty bad. DisK's got that pile in a nice spot here. The Hellions have been caught, and 4 Stalkers are just gunning them down. 1 dies immediately without any fires off, and he's just going to dive for these probes, get whatever he can done. And that means the Medevac's also stuck in the middle of a ball of Stalkers. It's going to be hard to make that survive, and he gets completely deflected, getting 3 probes in total.
Look at that. Shield battery in the natural, so no weakness there.
Yeah. No run-bys.
That was a very nice deflection. That was kind of an almost perfect usage of the probes to help out. He didn't overstay his welcome and actually accidentally line up even more probes, right? He pulled some of them back, so they helped stall out the 3 Hellions, and once there's no longer 3 Hellions, there's only 2 or 1. You're no longer being one-shot, so you can really kind of take a breath, and that was only 3 probes lost for a rather large commitment of Hellions. Now, it's only minerals, and they produce fast, and yada, 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 but that was a dedicated opener. You spent time on that, and it didn't do very much.
Yeah. No, it's well and truly a great start here for the Protoss. The Terran is getting a 3rd CC in the main, and it is about to finish, which is great economically. But we have a bit of a wrench in the works here for the Terran, with a speed prism disruptor going to be utilized here by DisK.
Yeah.
Similar to that game against Caleb on Cyber Forest, but this is very annoying for a Terran to have to deal with in the early stage of the game. It is a little memey, feels like a little bit of style here from DisK, but it could work out all right. You just have to not be looking at your army when the Purification Nova arrives for that disruptor to be worth it.
Absolutely. Or your workers, right? You are the one that's starting the aggression. You know that even if they're going to do like a tank push, they're not going to do it for a little while longer.
Ruh-roh.
8 and a mule, I believe, so... Pretty good there. And then, yes, as I was saying, you run away. So like, now you've alerted them to your plan. They might have missile turrets. You can still sometimes get shots off, and you can still have it with the main army. Or you get greedy and try and go back in way too fast and get caught by a Raven or a Viking.
Yeah, it takes a lot of damage on that War Prism, and it does get deflected, which is good news for PureLegacy. Now you can get those SCVs back up there. Did cut SCVs for a second there, but they're on their way now. 3rd base being moved out, and the Protoss has got Disruptor, Sentry, Stalker, and an Adept sitting in there. It's an interesting army. He's only just getting his forges finishing up as well. Is it just the 1 forge or 2 forges? It is just the 1 forge, so... Blink Disruptor. Cool.
Yeah, and as a 2nd disruptor, 3rd disruptor, 4th even. Wow, okay, yeah. I missed a lot of production, didn't I? It is definitely disruptors. I mean, maybe later on you add in some Colossus, but definitely disruptors, and definitely a problem. A lot of Terrans, even like the best Terrans, find themselves a little bit awkward against disruptor styles because they're probably the least played style. And they are also the most volatile, right? Like that's what disruptors are good at. Just sometimes being great, sometimes being terrible, and it feels very awkward to use just bio army against them. You feel like the only safe thing you can do is get up to a lot of liberators. Yeah,
certainly. It's liberators are kind of the answer to it, but it's a little bit tough and also a little bit uncomfortable to try and make them so early, because Protoss could just switch away from disruptors and go for something else and punish you for that. Protoss is hitting in with that blink upgrade and looking like it wants to go across the map with that War Prism there. Going to go for another disruptor shot. Damages the tank, doesn't quite kill it, but that's a good bit of damage there on that tank.
Anything's better than nothing. It's basically free damage.
Yeah, it's also got a stem out of the Terran as well, and no Medevacs here to heal up those units.
There you go.
Not just yet.
This is it's a big army, but besides the disruptors, it's actually not that strong. Oh, clever, 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 clever. Oh, no, no.
Oh, my God. Okay, nice. It's actually got interference matrix to shut down these disruptors. This fight's actually going really well for PureLegacy so far.
Oh, my God. I can't believe he just did that. He actually targeted hallucinated disruptors multiple times. Oh, my God.
Well, I think he might be diving a little too deep here.
Yeah.
He really wanted those disruptors, and it started off really, really well for the Terran, but as soon as he stood and fight against a bunch of gateway units and was heavily outnumbered, wasn't as going as well. Pulled back those tanks. Lost a lot of his bio, though, so PureLegacy does need to take a chill pill, relax, get a few more units out, let those upgrades finish. I like that he's getting another starport and a fusion core as well, because it is about time to get those ranged liberators out now that he knows what he's up against. And considering the Protoss is going into more robotics tech, so Colossi is next here for DisK, I still think that Liberators with range are still quite good against that, so good choices.
Hard to say that Liberator range is like bad against any style, right?
Yeah, it's an anti-Protoss thing. It's very, very good.
Yeah, for sure. But there is an awkward phase where sometimes the Colossus are able to chew through the bio army fast enough when you're still around that like maybe 6 or 7 Liberator count. And +2 isn't done as well, right? So that might be what DisK is actually like even reaching towards. But all things considered, I feel like the only reason that ended up being an okay fight for DisK was that last disruptor shot. You know, I briefly mentioned before the fight started that wasn't actually that impressive of an army. There was no upgrades on the stalkers, and it was just stalkers, right? So Bio would rip through that, and it was 1-1 to 0-0. But the disruptor was supposed to change that. They barely did, right? That could have maybe been a disaster, and that's at least down to 1 disruptor. So still with some lackluster upgrades because he only went for the 1 forage against what is a finishing 2-2. I'm actually feeling kind of good for Terran, but getting caught out of position wasn't kind of went against my point there. All right, cool, fine, it's whatever.
Good catch by DisK. Did see the Terran rotating around the north, caught those tanks unsieged. Got that second forge earlier, so you can see that he's not quite married up with 2-2, but he's got +1 armor on the way now with that +2 attack. I like this drop a lot from PureLegacy. DisK is looking across the map right now, warping in back at home. Forges are a little exposed. He's only warping in 4 stalkers.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely an army that the Terran can deal with.
Yeah, that's exactly what PureLegacy recognized. He went right after that forge once he saw it. He's going to get that armor, and he's going to get the weapons as well, and not escape. Oh, escape with 1 medevac. That is absolutely worth both those upgrades.
Good. Yeah, that's really, really good for the Terran. Is he's got 2-2, and the Terran and the Protoss is on +1 attack, which means the Bio really carves through those Zealot numbers. If DisK wants to throw out those charge lots, which he generally do at this point, he also gets a Nexus to the north. PureLegacy starting to come back a little bit here.
Yeah, and behind this, he is building up that Liberator count and getting the upgrades on those Liberators, so he should start +2 ship weapons very soon. Which means that as DisK thinks, okay, maybe I can beat this army, it just looks like pure Bio right now, he might be running into what was soon to be 6 Liberator zones. Disruptor, what are you doing there, buddy?
Yeah, where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you going with all that?
There it is. There's the Liberator siege up. So I don't think DisK actually is able to push through this, even though he has an army supply lead. Remember that he has really terrible upgrades. This is a complete reverse scenario of most TVPs.
Yeah, it's usually the Terran chasing 2-2 while the Protoss is maxed out on 3-3. We've got that planetary being rotated around here. Looks like PureLegacy wants to go down with a great scan. He sees that the Protoss is coming down here and rotating around. And he's just basically keeping tabs of the Protoss movements. I like this Sensor Tower as well. It's like DisK wants to try and pick it off because he does not like that Sensor Tower. He doesn't want to know. He doesn't want the Terran to know what he's up to.
Yeah. Sensor Tower very important in this situation, by the way. Actually, I think you would even want another one at that 4th base to feel really, truly safe. But nice snipe on that Disruptor, gets a Sentry, a couple Stalkers. There's not actually a lot of damage output. 2 Colossus is scary to the Marines, maybe. But the Marauders are actually kind of okay with that. But oh god, oh, big Zealot Warp into the main.
Prism showing its ugly tail again here in this matchup, getting up in there with the charge lots, killing a ton of SCVs, forcing a small amount of Bio to try and turn a fight. He does have this choke point, and the Liberators, of course, stacking up means that the charge lots don't really want to pick that fight. But once again, just finding a lot of SCV damage, kind of equalizing the work count here. Both players are on 4 bases, both players are on 69 workers. I'll ask everyone in chat to be mature, but that is the situation we're on. And also managed to remake those forges, so the upgrades are back on the menu. PureLegacy did not start 3-3 either, so he's not going to actually have that upgrade advantage the longer the game goes. But nice fight starting off here for the Terran, getting a few Stalkers. Liberators also still pressing the issue.
I would definitely say that I like the priority on that +2 ship weapons, but he could have probably all started 3-3 sooner, as he has kept his economy intact. His 4th base was set up without any harassment. His planetary, that's awesome. He does get the 2nd Sensor Tower as well, and now he's the one controlling the map here.
His Liberators have range, but it feels like they're not utilizing... There we go. Do they have range?
Yeah,
they do. It feels... Okay. Oh, that's a nice Nova there. I'm getting a few Marines and Marauder. It just felt like a few of those Liberators actually just weren't, like, at full range.
Yeah, he's getting also a little bit... Oh, God, okay, there are storms, or are there?
This is not good for the Protoss.
Oh, 2 seconds before storm! Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
They're there.
Nice storms there on the south side of that Bio, and the Bio to the north is actually very, very overstimmed. It's quite squishy right now. He's diving for that Colossus. He's going to get one of them, but he's definitely not going to get the rest.
Okay, all right. So, what I was going to say is that PureLegacy was being a little fast and loose about the Liberator positioning. He was unsieging every single one and resieging them. And I would argue that if DisK had the storms actually ready, he was at 72 energy when he brought them forward. Oh, feels bad. That would have been a complete disaster for the Terran. But it ended up going at least somewhat okay there. And there's still some room to macro out of this, as he does have 2 extra command centers, and I think his production is actually pretty good. Double starport, yeah, 7 barracks. That's pretty nice. So that the game will go on, but DisK ultimately took an advantage there. It's the upgrades that are just so sucky for him. I'm always like, oh, well, hold on here. This is not a 3-3 army that's also 20 supply ahead.
Yeah, he's got 3-2 on the way here, and 3-3 is nearly done for the Terrans. Very, very scary for mainly the Gateway army, I guess. Like the Stalkers and the Zealots need those upgrades to really push the bio back. Otherwise, they will get stimmed and A-moved to death. We've got a big ball of Liberators here for PureLegacy leading the charge. Sieging up into this choke point. DisK engages. I'm amazed by that. He does get a lot of these Liberators. Oh, more Disruptor Notice! Big Disruptor connections! So much bio just died right there. Great connections from DisK. And that's going to put a stopper. That's taking the wind out of these sails. PureLegacy once again needs to pull back home and get his army back up again. He's lost all his Liberators.
Yeah, exactly. I think he does need to take a chill pill here and just wait for a more maxed out army, at least 180, I would say. But he might have thought he had more momentum. He might have thought he had more economy there. He was ultimately wrong. But a lot was because 2 Disruptors ended up killing half his army. So, you know, that happens occasionally. Upgrades are done. +2 ship weapons is done. Has been done for a while. So they are going to melt those Stalkers. Just going to need to be very careful. Need to be very careful about the future blink-ins on those Liberators. And he also needs to start thinking as the game continues on here, as they both do get max again, he needs to start thinking about Tempests. Like, eventually, when you have 10 Liberators with what is going to be +3 ship weapons, it actually is kind of like, you need Tempest or you die, or some sick positioning.
Yeah. Or a billion Blink Stalkers with no bio underneath them.
Yeah. Oh, that's
this looks a little awkward for both players here, this fight. So
Liberator count's getting up there, man. They're being produced 4 at a time. He swapped them off the tech lab. They upgrade on the reactor, which is exactly what you want to do. And at 7, that's the okay number, but up to 11, that's when DisK seriously needs to get to Tempest, especially because he's not controlling the map right now.
Imagine if smart servos made Liberators siege and unsiege faster. Yeah, how insane that would be. Terran would never lose again.
No, they wouldn't. I mean, if you can get the co-op upgrades, faster siege up, and also attacks buildings, like...
And if smart servos help siege tanks.
Oh, yeah. I remember that's when everyone thought it was going to be. Like, all the like BattleNet forums were like, dude, that's awesome. And everyone was like, no, no, no. Calm down there. No.
Do you play the game? Like, even as a Terran player, I don't want that. That'd be insane.
Yeah, it would. Oh, imagine TPT
Worse than playing against Tankovac.
Yeah. Oh, I love Tankovac, but I know I'm alone in that one.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't a fan. I liked it a lot for TVZ, but I didn't like it in any other matchup.
Yeah. Oh, sneaky storms. Oh,
hello.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, baby. Oh. Sweet honey child. Now, these Liberators are doing sick damage here to the Colossi and the Stalkers.
Liberators. Oh my gosh, Liberators.
Oh my god, these Liberators. They're +3 attack. Oh my god, these Stalkers are evaporating. Holy crap. Oh boy.
Despite those massive storms, that actually ended up being a trade.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, Liberators are scary, guys. Respect the Libs, y'all. It's a good unit.
Oh, what a slugfest. So, obviously, PureLegacy got one of his new bases up, the one in the middle, but he does still have even more to take. DisK has, I would say, maybe one of the worst things here, besides being a little late to Tempest, is also the lack of more harassment. That one 4 prism, that was it, but there's only one missile turret. It's wide open there, all right? Get some DTs and give PureLegacy a reason not to be out in the middle of the map. Give them something to be distracted by, but if it's going to be just straight army to army, assuming that DisK doesn't get another wrap around of those storms, we are again at that Liberator problem. But I'm glad to see a fleet beacon. I just would also love to see another war prism.
I would also love to see +3 armor here, considering he's still getting more and more charge lots. But it's hard. Like, you get +3 attack and you expect kind of +3 armor to be done already as Protoss, because generally you have both your upgrades at the same time. Same for Terran. And you get your second engineering bay later. You're just like, oh, +3 attack, I'm good. But we are seeing those Tempests on the way. Ghost coming forward here for PureLegacy, as the High Templar obviously the big target here, and obviously charge lots is a plan B target. And I like the Ghost quite a bit. But yeah, there is a distinct lack of Tempest here, like anti-Tempest countermeasures for PureLegacy at the moment.
Yeah, he actually
why we saw, you know, the God Emperor of us all, Morrow, which is why we see him make a lot of Vikings.
Yeah, yeah. He took a while to start producing Liberators in the first place, and then he had to rebuild from like 0. So not only is he just...
Oh, DisK nerf.
being
We're gonna go into that again.
yeah, being countered very soon by these Tempests. He also is even later to the counter to Tempest, which is Vikings.
Just gets another Liberator here. He comes forward. Oh, Storm there. Not amazing, actually, but he does get the Liberators at least. The Bio stands and fights, and it looks like too much Protoss again.
Yeah, I think
he's dying for it.
He's gonna regret that. There's another Storm, and there was gonna be 5 Colossus. Okay, you're not forcing your way through that. But there are 4 more Liberators, 6 actually now being produced at a time, with another Starport having finished. But there was some Zealot harassment. No Warp Prism needed on that freebie orbital.
Yeah, I think they were warped in at the Nexus to like the 1 o'clock position and then just walked on over. It's not that long of a rush distance.
I will say that once PureLegacy gets up to a max army again, so these 6 Liberators pop out, giving a total of 10, and then I hope he swaps to Vikings. Yeah, exactly. There you go. He will have really well upgraded air. Like,
yeah,
DisK,
+3 attack Vikings? Hell yeah.
DisK has no upgrades on his air. He's still missing that +3 armor, and he's never gotten his shields. And at a 21-minute game, you would expect one of those things to be done. None of them are. Oh, by the way, the Warp Prism is still alive. I just forgot. It's up here. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Liberators covering that ramp one more time. A couple Protoss units getting picked off by the Bio. He's stimming in so deep, though.
Well, there's definitely a reason, by the way, why PureLegacy is doing that more than just overconfidence. He was taking care of the Disruptors when he was doing that. I just want to kind of like shoot that out there because I think if he didn't notice the snipes going down, then it just looked like he was always overconfident. But it's his current way of dealing with Disruptors because the Liberators were dying too fast. So again,
the
these
Vikings
snipes
are doing a great job here. They're picking up these Tempests one at a time, and also the Colossus are next on the menu. The Stalkers are actually getting thinned out quite a bit. Another dead Colossus. Whoop. Oh, bait and switch. Nice blink.
Here comes the Warp Prism. Here, there it is. There it is. So this is so deadly, not just because you have to send so many units back to deal with that, but also that it's a big distraction. And what PureLegacy has, like 3 sensor towers, and that's amazing. He does still have these siege units, where DisK is the one that's able to kind of move around a little more freely, right? So that's why it's especially brutal.
It looks like there might be enough fire to clean up the charge lots. Maybe not. It's going to be very, 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 very close. The charge lots are very scary here in the main base. Lots of Vikings coming forward.
Oh, no, look at X! They get derpy when they have no energy.
Yeah.
Oh, these Zealots. I mean, they're finally at least somewhat well upgraded, so they're lasting quite a while. Just some more coming in, by the way.
Yeah, it was like when I saw the charge lot count and I saw the amount of bio that PureLegacy sent for defense, I'm like, I don't think he wins that fight. I think the charge lots actually win the main fight there. This choke point is annoying, but I still think the charge lots win this fight.
Yeah, he needs something to kill the Warp Prism.
Like, wait, need more units, need more units,
Ooh,
need more units. Oh,
no.
The Liberators are unsieged!
Yeah, really nice blink in. Oh, good split, good split. But the Colossus start going down. You know, the Stalkers actually they're so busy running away there. Okay, just have their hit there. But the Colossus are all going to die. That is so many Vikings.
Yeah, and when the Colossus go down and you're up against like 3-2 Stalkers with Zealots, you can actually pick that fight. You can even land the Vikings.
It's actually very good control here from PureLegacy, but I will be to heavily criticize now DisK. He is missing Storm. We are missing Ghosts, and he's missing Storm. Storm also is a thing that helps the retreating Colossus from the overeager Viking balls. They go over, you know, the terrain and whatnot. You put a Storm there, and suddenly they have to back off, and that was missing because he did have to run away from the Bio army with his Stalkers. He wasn't wrong to do that, but they had a huge job to do, and they really couldn't do it. And maybe if he had some Storms, that would have helped. So now he's bringing in the High Templars that have been hanging around elsewhere, which is a great thing for Terrans to do. So they are full energy, but are they the only 2 that he has? No, he has 5. I'm just not sure where they are.
This fight's looking all right here for the Terran. Gets rid of those High Templar. Another big Storm, but not the greatest Storm there. He just dives on through it. The Disruptor Nova, though, getting a lot of that bio connection down. The Liberators have been left alone. The Liberators need to come forward a little bit here for the Terran. The Vikings are also still landed on the ground. Gets the pylon, denies the warp in. There's still some shots of these Disruptors, though. PureLegacy does get the Nexus pickoff. The Disruptors!
2 go down. Oh, he tries to get out of there with his medevacs. Actually, almost does. This is one full one. Whew, what a sloppy little fight there. Back and forth. It ends up going slightly in favor of PureLegacy, but he did lose an orbital command there. Just didn't have there's so much going on. He couldn't lift it. He loses the SCVs and an orbital, but he is still on, like, I think 4. because he has an extra one here, and he's on what is going to be 6 bases. That's bad.
Oh my god, this is a scrappy brawl here. We're losing the orbital there. The charge lot harassment from DisK has been really incredible and has hurt PureLegacy a lot. You take that out of the game and the game could potentially look a lot different. We've got that Prism is still unchecked as well. Maybe we can just break off one Viking and chase that down. Be enough to keep him from being a thorn on his side for the rest of this game, or at least for a while.
It's certainly what's missing. Oh god, okay. Actually,
nice
speaking of
pick off there.
What is still missing, like PureLegacy is just kind of almost like giving up on ghosts. Like I feel this might actually be a conscious decision.
Yeah, he's also supply blocked.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, that's going to be classic. 26 minutes. Last thing you want to think about building is more supply depots.
You know, fair bit of buyer here, and then 3-3 is finally done for the Protoss. It's a scary army. I don't think PureLegacy wants any of this. Surely not.
You think wrong.
Surely not. Surely not.
Oh, disruptor shot in the middle was so good.
Yeah, really nice disrupting over there, and it's just even you take out the disruptors, this is still a scary army for the Protoss. Like, I'm amazed that he engaged there, but he got punished for it. DisK pushes him away from his Nexus. DisK is actually on 7 bases right now.
Yeah, this one isn't
That's
mining
a lot
though.
of bases.
Very good use of the grid range.
Doing quite nicely. Stalker's like, gotcha. I have to die to pick it off.
Man, if Ravens weren't so hard to include in an army, having one to get rid of these observers would actually be really nice. And the interference matrix, like they are still very useful, but damn, they're hard to use.
Lots of Liberator zones being blanketed here. Nice splits there from PureLegacy, but he has to deal with the storms now as well. Liberator's doing a fair bit of damage from the sky. Are there enough? Oh, he actually kills a Colossus.
Okay. A lot of ground army still left over. 2 disruptors, 3 Colossus. Not really any storms.
I think that this is actually like the banks are getting really low for both players. PureLegacy is starting to get out of minerals here, and that's going to make things tough as everything that he's making costs a fair bit. Marauders are 100 a pop, Liberators are 150. DisK's trying to get a couple Liberators out, and that actually might be smart because there's not really a way for, I mean, without cutting Liberator and Marauder production, it's going to be tough for PureLegacy to get those Vikings up again.
Very true. One thing we haven't really talked about, but maybe we should have, is that PureLegacy has always been on a higher SCV count when I think a lot of the late game Terrans want to actually cut those SCVs because they're supposed to have mules. So you gotta wonder if there's like 20 more army supply, 10, 20 more army supply, some of these engagements would not have just tipped a little over. But it's also arguable that he needs all those SCVs because he's been taking the slightly worse trades and the resources lost. What a very fun, very intricate little game here.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
PureLegacy, I think, is the person that I'm just more shocked by, not because he's playing so well, but that is one of the things, but also that every time I'm like, no, that's not going to work. It actually ends up going okay for him.
This is, the DisK. DisK loses like 5 or 6 Stalkers there for nothing. The Tempests are now a part of the battle. Now he can painlessly start to hit on these Liberators. They rotate their Liberation zones to the north here. DisK's trying to come around behind them.
PureLegacy. Why? Absolutely no ghosts. The storms really weaken those Liberators. You're getting like one shot. A Tempest.
It's full energy High Templar here on the high grounds coming on down to meet this battle. Does blanket another storm on that bio. The Liberation zone's keeping this bio alive and still putting pressure on the Protoss army, which is quite thinned out. He's out of storms now.
Oh my god, that Sim just actually... Okay, the Colossus is going to kill every single Marauder there. Okay. Calm down. But a lot of PureLegacy's victories in these battles have been off the fact that his Marauders are still living. Like, he's been very mindful about keeping his Medevac count up, where a lot of other Terrans would have forgotten by now. It's just that he also does get overeager because they keep on living, and then, they're one shot from death. The entire army pulls back to deal with this. This should be wide open. This is actually an orbital, so it is wide open to kill there for DisK. It's gone.
And a good chunk of his mining is here, as most of his SCVs are here, and that was sort of a YOLO base. His entire army's on the north side of the map, super out of position, so DisK's going to find a ton of damage here. And the economy of PureLegacy was already not amazing. He does have a fair bit more money in the bank now. He's got 900 minerals almost and almost 900 gas. He's starting to make more and more Liberators, which is great. There's Planetaries next on the menu, and even with a mass repair, I don't think he saves that.
Yeah, it doesn't even have its upgrades, so it really was going to be melted down very quickly.
Laser beams on those SCVs.
Yep, down to 32 workers. Now, his army is greater than DisK's. I really like that recall. He was in very dangerous position. He could have been surrounded, even though that's not what PureLegacy was going to go for. The Storms and Liberators actually absolutely going to be worth it. They're so clumped up, and the Stalkers come forward to execute the rest of them. That's it. That's it. PureLegacy was so dependent on that.
Yeah, PureLegacy's. He spent his bank on those Liberators and taps out without a GG there. DisK gets the victory. Now, even though PureLegacy doesn't tap out a GG, I will give him the GG. That actually was a very good game from both players.
That was really super good. Credit to both of those players. You know, it was such a back and forth game that they both ended up making some mistakes, sure, but they also both ended up making some really intelligent decisions, like really good macro, and that was that's one of those games that I think even like both players actually are like, you know what? I don't know if I want to do that again. That was really, really, really hard.
Yeah, an exhausting game for sure, but a fun one and very, very high level and a good stuff. I loved it.
But DisK does, even as close as it was, he takes the first game and continues his domination against Terran, against this bracket. I'm looking for that 2-0. Might go ahead and just follow up with an aggressive maneuver just like the last Terran.
Maybe. Oh boy. Fun times. I'm enjoying myself.
Oof.
I'm gonna make some chess moves while we're waiting for the next game. Oh, you're not in it yet.
No, you're good. Go ahead. Do something really intelligent. Win the game. Score the points.
I make my chess moves a little bit too quickly sometimes. I'm on like a 2-14 win rate against Tassels. This kid, he's a big brain fella, this guy, and you would think it because of all the, you know, all the college courses, the multiple courses in college that he finished.
Did that comment ever mention that he actually didn't finish college?
I don't think so.
It's actually the most tasteless story I feel that Tasteless has to describe himself and his start in StarCraft and stuff is that he was literally one class away and he was like, nah, didn't matter. I was gonna go to Korea and play StarCraft, so nah, didn't finish it.
Yeah. same sort of deal with Artosis. The guy that they, for some reason, think that is less intelligent than Tasteless. So funny.
Oh, God.
The internet.
Exactly, just the internet.
So some of the most successful people I know never actually finished college or went to college.
Yeah.
Someone I know that's really rich is actually a high school dropout.
Yeah. I mean, everyone...
Wouldn't recommend it, though, guys, out there in Chatland. Like... Please finish school.
They're going to make big bucks in StarCraft.
Yeah. ZombieGrub and I finished school, and look at us.
Yeah. Totally using our degrees.
She had her room moved from her house and planted into a space base, which is made out of diamonds. And,
yes, this is a green screen behind me.
It's just a green screen, yeah. It's like what Day9 did. To make sure everyone didn't get upset when he changed departments. He just green screened his own old apartment in behind him.
He really did, guys.
He did. Not kidding.
Oh, PureLegacy needs a second. Understandable.
Aaron.
Yeah, there's a Reddit thread that reminded me that there used to be a joke about Terrans, that they had exploding wrist syndrome. Forgot about that back when all the Terrans were complaining about their wrist issues. Maru, Flash, MVP.
Yeah. I even had it.
Everyone does. We're playing a stupidly high APM intensive game for
play a bunch of play
a
bunch of biotank games against Zerg, and you're gonna be like, ugh, I'm playing Mac now.
Yeah.
It's too hard.
It is difficult.
So does PureLegacy go for something different in the game?
I would say yes, but I'm wondering if DisK is going to be able to change it up, because I guess we've been watching him more so today. And PureLegacy, if he's going to mix something up, I mean, it'd be like a really early proxy, and he's not sending out a CB out. So
nope.
It's going to be more about the mid game.
Yeah, we'll see what he goes for. In the top left, the man in the question. This is PureLegacy, currently down the series.
The bottom right, as the blue Protoss, it is DisK.
Yeah. DisK's been on a bit of a tear lately. He's actually very close to qualification. Let's have a refresh in that battle.
I was going to say, how far is he?
I'm going to refresh. This is winners bracket still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, I gotta push the full screen button because it's a little too zoomed in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very close. Enhance.
Let's see, how far away is it? Oh, here we are. Okay. Yeah, so he wins. If he wins this one and then the next one, it's qualification. Nice.
Yep. Nice. And he's got a life in the bank as well, so you can potentially do it in the losers bracket if things go badly. And when you look at that losers bracket, there are some scary players down there. Cuddle Bear, even though we beat him earlier, is still quite scary. Dolan's scary. Star Killer, the Pizza Pie Weekly smasher of souls. There are a lot of people down there that maybe are scary, but I think DisK would actually be favored against them. So this is actually a pretty, just a comfortable spot, I think, for DisK at the moment for being a qualified player, as things start to shape up today.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident for him. But PureLegacy certainly gave him a run for his money. It could be very different.
Definitely.
On the next 2 games. So
and it could potentially have a rematch against PureLegacy later as well, if PureLegacy goes to losers bracket and does well.
That is true. I can't believe chat's mentioning it now, and fresh in the bracket and all that. That Ruff is actually dominating the bracket, guys. Like
that's awesome.
2-0 at M Canning with the Reaper build, apparently.
Oh my God, 2-0 Asuna as well.
Yep.
He's against Pili. I think he actually beats. If he can beat M Canning, he can beat Pili.
Absolutely. I'm imagining he's using the exact same Reaper build, which the Protoss is. Even if they're like whispering at each other, going like, "Okay, what the hell? Like, how do we beat this?" Might not actually have an answer.
Oh my god. Ruff actually hasn't lost a map in this qualifier yet.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? That's
oh my god.
He's sleeper agent, man.
God.
People were sleeping on him.
God. That's right. Be sleeping with him if he keeps doing better.
Well, if you want to do that, Maynard. He does have a girlfriend though.
It's my body. Sorry.
Yeah. You do you, or you do him.
No, women are great, but you can't be the real thing.
I mean, seriously, dude, like the manliest thing you could do is just have sex with another dude.
Exactly, right? what's his hang up? I don't understand. Like, we got a CC being denied a little bit here. This is one of the things that are annoying. That's annoying on Cyberforest. Just reminiscent of the games against Cuddle Bear, where DisK kind of came across with a couple gateway units, denied the low ground expansion for a little bit. I don't know if he'll get as many SCV kills as he did against Cuddle Bear, but this is still annoying. Oh, the orbital's still not done. Ugh. Know this feeling.
Yeah.
Reaper even coming home.
At least the good news is with the opener that PureLegacy does, he actually deals with that much better. Because even if the Stalker comes forward, the Hellions are actually fine against the Stalker too. But this is actually a second adapt, and okay. So another wall, but this is not the Hellion drop. This is into Banshees. DisK does not quite have a robo yet. There it is. Doesn't know about the starport usage here. I'm actually wondering if he was concerned about Banshees last game, or if he did just figure that it was going to be medevac drop. I don't recall seeing a shield battery in the main. Just kind of like step 1 to defending against it, step 2 to get an observer and stalkers.
Yeah, I like Cloak Banshees quite a bit here in this matchup in general, and I think that in this situation it's also going to be quite powerful, especially if you can distract with these Hellions. Once again, though, DisK with the wall off, denying the run by here of PureLegacy, and obviously there's a Banshee being made on the starport, so no medevacs they have to worry about at the moment.
This could be brutal. Because even if you do think, like, you know what, this is going to time out against a Banshee with Cloak, I'm going to get an Observer, I'm going to get a Stalker combo, 2, 3, 4, whatever. That's usually where Banshees end up, like, they wait for another Banshee, right? And then they come in two at a time, one at each base, and they do a bunch of damage. The shield battery is still one of the ways to really make this, like, for sure defense, for sure, like, no probes lost. But the Observer is timing out rather nicely, and the Banshee should not get too many probes here to start off with.
2 or 3.
This is bold of him to go past that robo, chase those probes. Yeah, he's actually...
Like, I want that Observer to see me immediately.
That's a mistake there. Because he really should have... Oh god, that doesn't work out either.
Wow.
Oof.
Nice micro from DisK, though. Just like getting in front of that Hellion.
Yeah.
The KD8 grenade existed to be able to basically open up the wall in and then just get the Hellions in, but it didn't end up working out with PureLegacy. There's a lot of Blink Stalkers going across the map right now. What does he have at home? It looks like a bunker. What else?
I think that might be enough.
Yeah,
Is the observer lags behind here? I don't know. This is a great map for Blink Stalkers, so you can just go ahead and go up here anyways. The Banshee does come back in, so this is what I was like. If he had saved that first Banshee, then it comes in 2 at a time, and the shield batteries still aren't done. That's when you get a lot of damage done, but just not, not nearly as much. Only 5 probes go down, and the Stalkers do enter into the main base, kill that tank, easy peasy, delay stim.
Tech lab. Yeah, and that's the, that's the power of Blink on this map. Oh, using Blink here, I mean, he only has a few Marines to deal with, so I actually don't mind that he's sticking around inside the main. This is going to be incredibly tilting for PureLegacy. He's trying to get production as quickly as you can as a Terran. It's not like you can warp in 6 units at once and try and fight back here. He actually needs to not lose things that are coming out of these barracks, but there's a very high number of Stalkers in his main relative to what he's got here defensively.
You'd think with 5 things producing, 6, he has another barracks back there, that he would eventually clean 5 Stalkers up, but apparently not. Oh, hold on here. Finally. It's finally happening.
All right, these Stalkers need to get out of town. There's another tank coming down now. They have obviously killed a lot of add-ons. They got the add-on on the starport. They've killed 2 tech labs, and they've denied stim twice. So that is, and not to mention the amount of bio that they've killed. The trades for the Protoss versus the Terran, if you bring up the units lost, is pretty horrifying. It's very, very good for the Protoss.
Well, especially because PureLegacy didn't get those Banshees to do very much. They what, total 7 probes killed? Actually 10. Not as bad as I thought it was, but still. I thought it could have been better with the aggression, as it were. Because they also could have maybe distracted, so the Stalkers don't get the perfect micro, and then it is an easier defense. It's just one of those things that didn't really work out as well as it maybe should have, and actually was reversed. It worked out really well for DisK. And you see smoothly goes into a 3rd base, gets the saturation up, and gets into Colossus with at least 1 upgrade. He didn't delay stim like an absurd amount. It wasn't like canceling it at 90%, but it was delayed by probably 30 seconds. Double cancel plus waiting for the tech lab. So he knows that any push coming is going to be a little bit later, be a little bit weaker, and I think DisK is feeling confident.
Yeah, the only thing he really had to worry about was Banshees, and he doesn't have to anymore because when he came to the main, he actually saw that the starport had a different add-on on it, and then he killed it.
He's going to go in and try and snipe it again. The Terran dilemma. Nope, he decides not to. Okay,
nope,
all right,
nope,
all right.
Yep,
Okay. He might, if the Terran army moves out even further. Actually, this might not be worth it anymore because the production is up and running with reactors and tech labs and everything. So I guess just figuring that he wouldn't be able to escape and he'd be taken on by the reinforcements.
Terran doesn't have stim still, so he could still be a little bit annoying with those Blink Stalkers. He does get a medevac there as PureLegacy moves out. And it looked like PureLegacy expected to have stim, because you do at this point of the Terran. Play thousands of games, normally your stim's not denied, and you're like, oh, I have stim now, but you don't.
Yeah.
I've had a few of those situations happen where I'll go for a drop, box my units, hit T, and they don't do anything. They just look at me like, what do you want?
Absolutely. And it's this thing where you also you feel like you literally can't move out and you also can't drop. But actually maybe it still is worth trying to at least get something done, but... Oh, no, you waited for stim. It's done now. Everything is done, including +1 weapons, so they're going to be equal upgrades as PureLegacy moves out. He does have a decent army, but up against what is going to be 3 Colossus very, very soon. Does he have the good army? Does he have the right army?
DisK does also have charge here with his army, +1 attack. And these Colossus are the big bad damage dealers here for PureLegacy, who is very, very heavy on Marines. 45 Marines and 5 Marauders. Like, it's a bad time for Terran against this many Colossi. I like this actually, splitting off a drop to the main base while attacking the 3rd. I like it a lot.
Who's in Phoenix?
It does fly over Observer though.
Okay, the Adept sees it. This Observer will see it.
Rather.
Multiple confirmations that it's indeed happening, and the split's going to be nice. And a lot of thought goes into it. He's going to be able to take care of it pretty perfectly.
Yeah, Zealots are on the front line, taking the shots to the Marines while the Stalkers are doing the rest. He's not target firing the medevac's down, actually. He was on a move after that first target fire. There we go, now he is. Bio's actually still doing great. +1 attack, mowing through these Stalkers. But this fight's going slightly less... This isn't going as well for PureLegacy up here to the north. And this is where a lot of his resources are.
Yeah, I mean, the main drop was just like, it was a second's difference of the Stalkers being able to kill 2 medevacs with the units inside of it as opposed to just the one. So it lasted longer than it should have. It's something there, but it is eventually entirely cleaned up along with the majority of that frontline army. And PureLegacy is going to be forced to kind of retreat into a shell here and wait for Liberators. I think the ability to attack has kind of been lost after that momentum is gone. And DisK will get to 4 bases, he'll get to Storm, and he'll start controlling the map. And PureLegacy will be in a worse position than last game. And he was actually in a complicated position last game because his opener in that one didn't work out that well either.
Yeah.
This is, I think, even worse.
I think so, yeah. I mean, he did claw a game out of it by, you know, DisK overextending into Liberators and just having a great composition that was hard for DisK to deal with what he had. But yeah, there is not that much Terran here for DisK to be scared of for the most part. But he is once again a very, very careful player, almost to a fault. He'll just pull back and be like, you know what? I'll just get further ahead. Pull back.
Yeah, almost. The 2 Liberators are in a pretty tricky spot. That is a very good choke for them to be in. And, you know, there's not... Storm isn't quite ready to go, but it is something that I actually think that DisK could have taken on as his upgrades finish up here.
Like for Bio on the high ground here from PureLegacy. Pushes him back, loses 16 SCVs though. Oh no, he's fighting up the high ground against Archons and Colossi. Oh, PureLegacy. He's going to get broken here. Once again, no GG from